The courtesy of your house ward has somewhat lessened as of late.
It's not welcome here.
Why should I welcome you here, Joe?
Just a question, my liege.
Be silent, Annie. Keep your forked tongue behind your teeth. I have not bounded up the Farney trail in this wig and beard to trade words with a fucking witless worm.
I can't do this anymore. You need to stop doing it in that house. It's embarrassing.
Fucking hell.
I will never leave this house.
Ward, son of Richard, for too long you have been bound by the shackles of duty. I shall release you from this spell of responsibility and mediocrity.
You have no power here, Joe the Grey.
Joe the Grey? Oh.
Bruh? Bruh! Is this for me, bruh?
Yeah, bruh.
Fucking hell, bruh. Let's go, bro.
Let's fucking go, bruh.
Let's fucking go, bruh.
Fucking down it, bruh.
Bruh.
Yeah, bruh. Yeah, you down there, pussy, bruh.
Let's go, bruh.
Yeah, I'm just filming with Harry at the moment. Oh, Jake's on his way back. Alright, cool. I'll speak to you in a sec. I don't know, Mum. I'll speak to you in a bit. Alright, cool. Yeah, great. Thank you so much for that information, Mum. Alright, cool. I'll speak to you in a sec. I'll sort it out. Alright, see you later, Mum. Bye, bye. Oh, fucking hell. Are we good?
Yeah.
Alright, okay, welcome to episode 16 of the Sunday Roast. Thanks for tuning in today. We have a guest today. He's just done the skit. He's done a fucking amazing performance. He's done acting before. He's the man, he's the myth, he's the legend. He is the wizened Harry Ward. He is Rod Howler. Thank you so much for joining us, Rod.
Cheers, mate.
Pleasure
Thanks
to have
very
you.
much, Rod. Cheers.
This is just like a bit of... I fucking hate saying that. I always say that. I get a bit of context. This is the only way we can meet up, innit?
Yeah, absolutely. Mate. Yeah.
Dude, I haven't seen Rod in like 4 months.
4 months? I haven't seen him in about 2 years.
Oh, that was when we went to Ireland. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
2 years ago.
That's crazy. So, like, I'll just dive fucking right into it. You didn't see the episode last week. We've got to cover it a little bit, haven't we?
Right.
We've got to at least talk about what happened.
Yeah, well, afterwards. Well,
No, there wasn't any fucking drama. There wasn't any drama, was there?
Nah,
Would you think that format worked?
What, having 4 people?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely fucking not.
Absolutely fucking not.
It was quite hard work, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was hard work. It was hard work because we couldn't manage that many guests. Say that
No.
we were talking about subjects that we don't really delve into or wouldn't normally delve into on camera.
Well, we don't. Thing is, Rod, like, because me and Rod have spoken about this a little bit, because he sort of said, "What's your angle?"
Yeah.
Which I sort of like, well, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Because he watched that episode in Paris, and he was like, "What are you going for? You going for the sort of counterculture angle here? What are you doing?" When I had that conversation with you, I thought about it, and I did reflect on what you were saying. But I was like, I don't know, like, I don't want to go that way, really.
Yeah.
And last week, which you didn't watch, which I'm, as you can tell, quite offended about. We sort of got dragged into a bit.
Yeah.
Because people wanted to talk about it, but we had no fucking control over the room.
No,
Yeah.
we didn't. We had
We
people
lost the podcast.
sitting there with a timer going,
Mate,
we need to move on.
My guy Dan Gleeson was going, right, we're moving on now. Fucking hell, my featured on yours now. And Jay was like, I've got a new topic, lads, I've got a new topic. It's like, nah, it's all cool. So, like, there was that. But diamond writing, anyway. I want to talk about...
Sorry, mate, you go.
Alright, cool. I want to talk to Rod anyway for the viewers. It's a weird dynamic now, right? Because obviously we have you today, and we have found that some things work with a guest.
Yeah.
Like, we found that doing the skit beforehand makes people a little more comfortable, a little more easy, and it sets a very low bar for what we're going to talk about. Because it's hot trash.
Yeah.
The skit's hot trash.
Yeah.
So basically, like, what I was curious about, because you've done quite a lot of podcasts before, like, what's your experience been as a whole?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the stuff I've done has been more politics stuff.
Really?
And it's like quite not as casual, not as chatty, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a hard one to pitch.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to pitch.
Do you want to shut that because he'll have an anxiety attack?
He's locked upstairs.
He's scared of dogs.
I know he is, yeah. Don't worry, the dog's locked
Yeah.
upstairs.
You actually have a fundamental fear of dogs, don't
Yeah,
you?
fundamental fear. It's not connected to anything. It's just
Really?
solely irrational. Yeah.
Okay,
Weird.
so you know it's irrational.
Yeah, but
But
just can't look out of it. It's probably that
Any
childhood.
dog. Any dog.
Childhood
Any
trauma.
dogs. Yeah, any dogs.
Yeah.
Even like the tiniest
Even the
little
tiniest dogs.
cutest fluff ball.
Explain this is actually.
Well, other
interesting.
than well, the thing that actually worries me is jumpy dogs.
Really?
Jumpy
Really?
dogs, yeah.
Really?
In a way more than like biting and all
Why
that.
is
You know, that
that?
doesn't
Do
bother
you
me.
know?
Just like childhood experience of going on
Yeah.
a walk and being like attacked by a jumpy Labrador, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, being jumped in there. You know,
Well,
when you're
because
about
you-
3 foot high.
Yeah, because you slated us now, we're just trying to slate you and it back.
Absolutely, that's
embarrass you,
completely fine. No, that's this is a give and take.
No, but that is actually interesting in terms of fear, because I do have some irrational fears.
Mm.
Is that your only irrational fear? Would you say?
Right. well, probably.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Probably.
By and large.
By
Do you
and
any
large.
irrational fears?
It's hard to go into, you know, because when you put it on me, mate, I'm a massive hypochondriac.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
So like that affects me at a fundamental
Yeah.
level. But then again, the problem with that is like in terms of having that, and I don't want this to be a fucking mental health appeasement episode,
yeah.
because I can't be asked to go into that bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, for me, the problem is recently, like, I have had a lot of problems as well, like in
Yeah.
terms of the health stuff.
Yeah.
So it just reinforces it.
Yeah.
So now the problem is normally when you have someone who has an irrational fear or something, obviously it was irrational. Elements of it are irrational, but when you delve into it, there wasn't anything backing me up to say, "Nah, you're good."
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, is this a rational fear or is this an irrational fear? So like, I think we've all got them, but for me, it just seems to like, and I don't want to make this fucking episode about me, but we're here now. Subscribe. For me, it's like, it can, like for me, the irrational fear, it can latch onto anything. You know, if anything's going well at a particular moment in my life, it will latch onto that.
But you're not talking about things like dogs or whatever.
No,
You're talking about-
I'm talking about like an overarching sense of fucking dread. Do you know what I mean? Like,
funny enough, I get that where I go through stages
Yeah.
where I'll be like, something won't be going right in where I want to be with my, you know, but I'm doing a PhD and it's stressing you. You feel really depressed, you feel down,
Yeah.
and then something changes, and then in a second, and then you're like, I was like going outside, it's like Dr. fucking Doolittle, like looking, walking around, and sort of, you know, it's great, but and then you feel so, well, I feel that's so pathetic, really, you know, in a way, because, you know, you're going up and then you're going down, and it's solely on your own success. You know, there's so much going on in the world that's worthy of being existentially fucking affected by, and it's you know.
I know. Yeah, I completely agree. There is things, but that's part of the problem, isn't it? It's like you feel that there are things worth fucking filling you with this sense of existential dread, and your current.
But it's fickle. That's
what I'm
the
saying.
point. Yeah,
in the
it's
grand
fickle,
scheme
yeah,
of things, in an
absolutely,
existential sense, it's completely fickle.
Yeah.
Problem, like we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
We talked about when I was in Ireland as well.
Yeah.
And do you remember on the sofas and we fucking have well, I'm not going to go into it, but we were chatting about stuff and we were getting pretty, you know, out there with it in terms of that. But yeah, it does come down. But a lot of it comes down to just things catching you in your weaker moments.
And then spiral.
Yes, yeah.
And then you go and I almost you do get to that position where you go down and down and down, but I think you always know it's going to go up. You'll find that moment where suddenly it changes. Yeah, exactly.
There's a bottom to everything.
Exactly.
The problem is, like everything in life, and I've found this really reinforced recently to some degree. And it almost feels like a universal mathematical conclusion to everything. It's like when something's going well, it'll go so fucking well, and everything will go. When something's going bad, it's like the forces will drag you down with it, and it's the same with everything. You know, whatever you apply pressure to, or I don't want to use the word energy to exert that to, but it's true. It's like forces go in such a way until they don't, until they literally stop and go the other way. There's no half measures, and it doesn't feel like to me there's any leeway in that. It's you're all going or you're not.
Yeah, and you only see the bad.
Yeah, of course.
And then even small things you see the bad. You see the bad. You know, and then that seems to conglomerate and things don't. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's true.
But you got anything to add to that?
No, I massively agree with you. I just didn't
Passively
really
agree with you. I actually passively agree with you.
No, I do. I massively agree with you. I think that when you say your mind to something,
Yeah.
it does happen, and it happens in both ways.
Yeah.
Like you say, I think when you're down and then someone else kicks you down, you just keep on going down.
Yeah, yeah.
But you do.
Which
like
in your
you
case is literally your girlfriend kicking you in the head.
Yeah, and that hurts.
Yeah, it does.
That hurts.
You still got bruise.
Yeah. No,
she didn't kick him in the head. It was a joke because we got her on the skit this morning, and Fair play to her. Shout out Annie. She did a good job, but she was a bit hungover, wasn't she?
Yeah, she should be hungover. She went out with her friends and started trying to get into booths and stuff in town, saying my boyfriend's a popping YouTube star like that. And
don't you have to like have over 40 subscribers though?
Yeah, and you have to have them with you.
Yeah. Of course.
So it didn't really go that well for her, unfortunately.
Are you subscribed, Ross?
I am, yeah.
Oh, incredible.
So
Just incredible
one of the
one of
first.
the viewers.
I'm quite
One of the
slightly
first,
disappointed because I thought we'd get another subscriber then.
What we might do, click on, let's go. But instead of me begging for subscribers like an absolute bayer, we're going to go on to a topic now. And we're actually, because we've had a lot of constructive criticism about this, so we're slowly getting better, we're working it.
We're giving you the podcast you desire.
Right, I've got to go into it with you. I don't give a fuck if it's on camera.
Yeah.
Does your girlfriend still hate me?
No,
Okay,
she loves you to bits, I think.
Are we just doing this for the camera?
Yeah, we're just doing yeah.
In all seriousness, has anyone seen the Quaden stuff? The guy gets bullied in Australia.
Oh,
if no one's seen it, I'm not going to go into it.
No, I haven't. I saw the dwarf kid.
I'm not going to get into it then. It's been covered. Right, going back to that because Rod's just fucking thrown me off my rhythm.
Yeah.
You were speaking about previously, like you've had a few roles in life. You've had a few roles, and one of them being a cover teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you want to start there, or shall I?
Get
you with a hot poke.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can get me with a hot poke, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you want? Well, I think the first thing that happened was like 3 days into the job.
Just a bit of context. Where's this at? Like, how long have you been doing it for? Like,
well, no, I mean, I did it last year. School in Notts, not the nicest area, not the most affluent area, like socioeconomic. So it wasn't easy, and like cover teaching is already the bottom of the pile.
Sure.
But,
I didn't say that, he did.
It's the reality. It's the reality. So I did it just before I was doing. So I was between my masters and my PhD.
Sure.
Now doing PhD, so it's last year. I did it for about 6 months.
Yeah.
I get there. Obviously, turn up, whatever. First day, fine. Get third day, walk into to do a lesson, and there's a girl. So she stood outside the classroom, and she goes to me, "Oh, sir, are you teaching English?" And I was like, "No, I'm off for history. I thought it was nice to take students taking an interest, all that."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, if you're not teaching English, then you can fuck off." Straight to me. Third day in the job.
Oh, that's good.
So I was like, yes, it's going to be a nice job. Yeah. But then I turned around and I was thinking, well, what can you say? Because I thought that I've never done this before. I don't know how do you react to this?
You didn't get vetted for that,
and
did
so,
you?
and so I just turned, I was like, you're not meant to say that. So you couldn't. No, I don't know what to say. You don't know what you say, and then you're being called sir. It's a weird dynamic.
Oh, because obviously you like to be referred to as madam, don't you?
Yeah, that's the complication.
Yeah, that's the complication. The fact that I assumed was a problem.
Yeah. I was a pioneer for transgender identity.
Of course you were. Yeah.
But
you actually were though, weren't you?
Yeah, but no. So I did this cover teach job, and it was good. I got into a rhythm. Like, the thing I realised about the cover teacher job is that at the end of the day, the teachers, they give you this work. They as long as the kids aren't turning the tables over. Yeah, quite literally. They just see the work at the end of it. Quite literally. They see the work at the end of it. So I worked out. There was this thing where it's like you give them an after-school detention to get knocked out. Yeah. Whatever else, fine. My thing was, if you don't get the work done at the end of it, I don't really care, in a sense, too much about the behaviour. But the point is, at the end of the lesson, you have to show me you've done the work. That's an unorthodox approach. Because cover teachers get shit themselves and to try and assert their authority so much. But they get obsessed with that kind of stuff and end up being hated because they're already a figure of fun. And then when you become both a figure of fun and then hated,
but they're also.
I was gonna say So I just had this kind of way of doing it where you say if the work's done at the end, you're fine. If it's not, 20-minute after school detention, and that's it. That's the rule. And then at the end of the day, Draconian 9 measures. Times out. Yeah, but the point was in hour 0 to hour 50, I was like soft and not really that bothered either way, as long as you weren't turning the tables over. And it seemed to work by then. It made an easier life for me because again, you're not chasing people all the time to shut up. Because if you ever had 30 kids in a classroom, I have no authority whatsoever. So I just let them sit there and.
You've going back to your point, because I think you raised a couple of really good points there. When you say they're already a figure of fun, which they are to some degree, the fact is though that is their greatest fear, isn't it? So they're going in combating the fact, most people going in combating the fact that I am a figure of fun going into this lesson, but I do not want to come across that way. If you, and this isn't doxing out any, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But I guess your approach, if you go in going, yeah, right, I'm a fucking figure of fun, we get it.
Yeah.
But if you don't do your fucking work, you get a detention.
Yeah.
Like, their respect level should dramatically increase just based on your self-awareness.
But basically, that was exactly it. You
Yeah.
have a laugh with them, and you know what I mean?
Of course.
It is what it is. It was a good. It worked.
Yeah.
It worked at the end of the day, and they got the work done, and they found, they liked it. I liked it.
Yeah.
It didn't mean I was stressed, because like the stress that teachers go through, the cover teachers, like managing the baby, it's not.
Really?
I'm telling you, they're absolutely going mad. I mean, and then they end up, and then you get the other side, when the other side of it is that when they go so far out the other end, they get so angry that they end up abusing like the kids. Not literally. I'm not saying they're literally abused, but they end up bubbling over and getting angry. Do you know what I mean?
Talking about the art teacher who had a mental breakdown.
Oh, the science teacher.
No. There was also an art teacher who had a mental breakdown at the Minster. I'm not going to say his name because I've forgotten it. I would if I could. I'm joking. I'm joking. Right, so basically this guy, and he was like a supply, then he got a full-time job. But he took his shit seriously.
I don't know who you mean.
And he was trash. Like, he was trashy at his job. Like, he was.
Yeah.
But he was taking himself seriously, and you couldn't warrant any respect. And like,
No.
how do you feel about this definition of something you say respect? No, I'm putting words in your mouth. Sorry, I said respect as to what you were talking about. So, how do you feel about the typically, in a football sense, the definition of a great manager obviously naturally is one that's respected. Now, the line of respect is drawn equidistant between love and fear.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the best teachers are able to maintain both respect and love.
Yes.
If you look at the model, I was actually thinking about this. You can put senior members of staff and good teachers into models. Are you a Mourinho?
Sure.
Are you a Mourinho? Are you a Klopp? Do you cause division? Do you pick out people? Do you pit people against each other, or do you have the idea of we're all working for this together? You literally can do it, and then you get the shit teachers who obviously would be like League Two managers who are just kind of like throwing everything at it and losing. You really can. You can do that, but the best mixture is always, I think it's motivation. But as you say, they know at the end of the day if they fuck up, then they're going to get
For real.
they're going to feel it.
And I feel like looking back, all of my best teachers, obviously I don't know the current state of the education system, but I fucking loved this English teacher. And I can't remember her name now, I'm not going to shout her out anyway.
I always see her walking
I think
around.
I'm mates with her on somewhere. But I fancied the pants off it to be better. But, this is going off tangent. No. But I fucking feared that woman.
Yeah.
But like, you've got an admiration and a love and an adoration for them, and she really fucking towed that line where she was like, look, it's all fun and games, but I can come down on you at any point like this, and it's like it's a real strong position to be in, and I think good teachers always fall into that. Are you about to laugh?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about something.
Oh god.
Well, I was just thinking about a particular RE
I
teacher.
thought you were just laughing at me. I was getting really insecure. Go on.
No. I was just thinking about a particular RE teacher that I used to have. He was the head of RE. It's for context for YouTube. I won't say who it is.
Dallo.
No. Bold.
You call me bold.
No, the bold
I'm
chap.
joking.
I don't want to say, but he. I used to not get on with him at all, and he used to hate me. And then he blew up one lesson, like completely lost his head.
He was really nice.
And then I felt really
You're
sorry
a horrible
for him.
bastard, yeah.
I know, and then I felt really sorry for him, and I did all right. And
Yeah.
I stopped, and he just went in the complete opposite way. And I was like, I don't know, I just got right to the brink with him.
Sure.
Oh,
and then he just had a breakdown with, like, I think he kept me after and was just like, I'm just don't know what
That's
to do.
the sparring. That's what I mean about sparring.
Yeah, and
that
he
can
just
happen.
hit the bottom, and then he.
Never show the kids that.
and then he was all right after. Then we got along, and I was like, all right, fair enough.
But you had to get to that place to warrant that respect.
But the thing is, it was going there. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like every day, so it was like, how far can we go? And the only other person who got that is a science teacher. I don't know if she lasted for about 3 months.
Yeah.
She started off as a sub, then stayed. She was a biology teacher. And we got to the point where she lost her mind, walked out of class, and then the following day we had her in the morning and she didn't turn up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I was only brought in as a cover teacher because one of the history teachers actually had a breakdown. You know? That was the reason. And,
For
they had to,
real?
and I replaced her
shit.
class.
I don't want to doctor out, but you.
No, I don't know. I don't never met
nothing
him.
about
Know
it.
nothing
Oh,
about
cool.
it.
Oh, okay.
But
Really
yeah, I
interesting.
don't know. But again, I think that was pure pressure, and then I ended up having her kids. So as a cover teacher,
So
not
when-
having been trained.
Okay, yeah.
Not,
So they're living with you
Take
now.
this down.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I had these kids, and these like the worst kids that wouldn't like even really experienced teacher couldn't deal with them. I couldn't really deal with them, but I was managing.
Yes, you were
And again, that's the
managing.
point. I was managing more or less, and it's like spoon feed them, but they have no interest.
Yeah. Are we all okay with sound, Harry?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
cool.
fine.
So we can continue. Fine, yeah. What's
Yeah,
up?
yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. No. That's a real. Do you know what it does? The teacher, like when a teacher breaks down. I know I just had a little giggle about it earlier, but it is quite a saddening thing.
Terrible.
Like it is a real saddening thing.
But in fairness, in that person's case, she didn't actually ask for guidance. So then at that stage, you've got to like, or when she was offered that, she refused it, and that's where
I know there is.
you're
an
building,
element of
you're digging your own
responsibility.
grave there,
I
aren't
know,
you? Really,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, so she was, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
she was just irresponsible. She was an idiot. Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
So I take my point back completely.
Yeah. But you know, when people do have breakdown, particularly like teachers, it's absolutely grim. You know?
Yeah,
And I even from my small, like I had
Been on the
moments
verge,
where
bro.
in a class where there was a French class. It was the worst class, year 9 class. And they were throwing dictionaries around, and it was getting chaotic. It was chaotic. It was this is my worst. This is my low. It's actually funny. I'm talking about your links back before because I reached the bottom. This was like the low point of my career, and then after that it was fine for the rest of the time I was there for the 6 months, probably about the 3-month mark.
Being in a French class and someone quite literally throwing their language at you is the biggest sign of disrespect.
Yeah, it really is a
that
visual.
that you could possibly hope for.
Visual chaos.
That is awful. I say it's awful. It is quite funny.
Yeah, well, it was funny.
And is that the lowest point you fucking?
That was
got
the
to?
lowest point was then when they were going out. I sent one kid out. He was just walking around outside the classroom, outside the corridor, walking around.
Disrespectful.
But because I'd sent him to the other classroom of one of the really known for disciplinarian kind of teachers, Mr. Smith. He's like, oh, so Mr. Smith, you know, I'm sending you out to Mr. Smith. That's it. I could see him walking out. I still walking. And I went out to him. And I had like a complete noise in the background of the class. Just opened the door. I was like, you really have that little disrespect that you're actually scared to go into Mr. Smith. So at this point, I was basically confronting him. And that's what I mean. And that's when you're at the bottom. When you're taking on the kid like you're an equal or something like that. That's,
You've lost it.
You've lost it at that stage. Yeah. It's like you're scared, and then he's like, "You what, mate?
Yeah,
you what?" One of these. He's already, you know. And then he's like, "You challenging me? You saying I'm pussy and all this shit, you know." So.
You broke to some degree, didn't you? Going down to that level of pure confrontation.
Yeah. And that was when I decided to take up this new policy of, you know, you just go in. This is your line, but basically you're nice with the kids. You have a laugh with the kids. You have to go in with a sense of humour. That's the thing. To talk about thick skin again, and immediately within, you will get abuse. That is the way. That's the rule of the school. That's the law of the school. So you can't go in if you have a thin skin. Teachers must pick up a thick skin immediately, and you do it. It's amazing how quickly you do. Like even third day, you get told to fuck off for literally nothing, but not in a kind of jokey way. This person doesn't know you. They just want to get all their hormonal anger out.
Of course,
You know,
so you just get beyond the hormones.
No, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously massive problems at home and all that, all the rest of it. So it's.
Do they teach you how to handle that? Like when you're training?
No, not at all.
No,
I'm sure they do it as a teacher, but cover teachers, that's one thing I think is a massive problem. Cover teachers are
They just chuck you in the deep end.
chuck in the deep end. You're expected to, intuitively pick it up. You know.
See, that's mad. See, that's what I have not a massive problem, but I think we can't, I suppose, touch on this last time. Is that there's a huge problem, isn't there, with like the social services and the fact that they don't actually like do anything. They don't teach them how to confront people or speak to people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it never seems to be the case, and it seems to be a massive fall through, doesn't it, when it actually comes through because people aren't prepared for it. Don't know.
Yeah, one thing I also said, another horrible thing about it. Well, not horrible. It was funny, but was that on the interactive whiteboards you log in, but for some reason the school had it such that it wasn't Mr. Howlett login, it was Roderick Howlett, and I'm going into a former mining area, and they're going, "All right, Roderick," you know. It's like, it's just, you know,
it's not winnable, is it?
No, so again, you're already on the back foot there. You have to embrace that again.
Yeah.
So. Things like that just don't help. The little things like that, training, little things, they all add up, and you can see why people have breakdown, you know.
Yeah, sure. I've got to ask as well in terms of what you just said. we've talked about obviously some negative experiences that you've had. Can you tell me, I know it's quite hard, but what would be your highest point of elation or your most rewarding experience? Because these lows naturally don't come without the
absolutely.
other swing of the pendulum.
Yeah, the most rewarding thing would probably be when one of the senior teachers said to me, well, you know, the thing, we like Mr. Howlett because we actually, so this is what another kid told, we like Mr. Howlett because although, you know, he lets us have fun, but we do actually learn things in his lessons. And that was interesting because that's surprising to me. Although I mean, the best is those moments when you actually do grasp their attention and you've got these kids and you're able to teach them. And like, I did have passion for some of what I was teaching, like the history and the English. I thought this is meaningful. And because I taught in the kind of way of, you know, when I did teach, when I wasn't just managing or just giving them a worksheet, when I did teach, it was a case of, you know, trying to teach them beyond the confines of the exam.
Sure.
You know, also to not just focus on the exam, this is life, this is what this means, you can learn something from this, this has inherent value.
Yeah.
And so when you transmit something of that to the kids, and you see them enjoying it, engaging it, taking it seriously, or when we had debates and I facilitated debates and stuff, which again, your normal cover teacher, well, most cover teachers would go in and just say, there's your worksheet, and not engage with it, and just try and get them, you know, to and just sit behind the desk and let it happen. And that's where you get, if you're very good at behaviour and a cover teacher, it can be tempting to just do that.
Sure.
But I engaged because I wasn't good at the behaviour, so you have to engage them instead. So yeah, that would be my kind of that high moment where I said, you know, we actually learn things in lessons. I thought, well, actually, all the behaviour stuff in a way, okay, fine, I'm not great at that, but if they're getting some value from it, they enjoy it, and it's a happy memory. And school can be very dark for lots of kids.
It's pretty
grim. Lots of kids.
It's pretty grim.
Yeah, most kids probably.
I mean, I think I'd go on further to say as well in terms of that point. I just feel like when you were of that age, even that age range, you honestly feel like the world's a chaotic experience, but you don't know much beyond your sort of bubble. And as well, in terms of that, you feel like that's just how it is. And I think partly people underestimate how little your brain as a whole has developed.
Yeah.
Because I would say, like, you honestly have the way you think is at that point in time is like, surely this is the way my thought processes occur now throughout the rest of my life.
Yeah.
This is how I think about things. This is how I feel about things.
Yeah.
But you realise when you leave school and get a bit older, your brain really fucking calms down.
Yeah.
And it's not. I don't feel like that's reinforced. That
No.
and it's not because it's no one's responsibility to reinforce that. But that's upon reflecting of the experience. I just feel like it's important to say, like, when you're in school, your brain hasn't fucking developed.
No.
And I feel like that's such an important facet that people look over. And obviously, I don't want to get into the whole, you know, people obviously taking their own lives, but especially when you're in school for that period of time, it's a very confusing period of time for a lot of people. And I feel like what we've got to give massive props to is for like someone like you going in and dealing with that, and also not taking out your emotional baggage, because a lot of, I believe, supply teachers, or the one that I dealt with, use that as an also means to sort of.
But that was my first approach. That was my bottom moment where I was like, that's it, and then you get over that, and you're able to laugh at yourself again. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And the best teachers do that. The best teachers do that. I mean, the worst thing, absolutely. I mean, that's the other thing I'd say as well. But I have massive respect for many teachers who work very, very hard.
Sure.
Because it's easy to, you can slack and get away with it, and there were teachers who were that end. But there are also teachers who work so hard and put their absolute all. And then when the kids don't put it back, that's when it's disappointing. From that, you can understand, but that's when it's disappointing. Of course you can, as you've just been saying. But there are so many good pastoral people, and the staff in general. Like where I worked in humanities, and the staff in humanities were just amazing people, fantastic. You know, you'd look forward to working with them. You know, that was a real benefit. So, and as also as a supply teacher, going in and actually enjoying the time with the kids is good as well. It's a rare thing, I think. You know,
sure.
I want to engage in it. So,
literally going back to what you just said as well, in terms of people. Almost pick some teachers obviously naturally picking up the bill for other teachers, going above and beyond the call of duty. I feel that there is a spotlight on teaching as a whole, because people feel like their children's education is reflected, but that is by and large human nature. You will always get a 20-80 rule. You will always get 20% of people picking 80% of the slack, and then 80% of people picking 20% of the slack, and you're going to get grilled as a teacher if you do that, because you've got eyes on you, you've got parents, you've got peers, you've got children, but you know that. It's just because there is that limelight of that it's really brought to the forefront, and that's why I think they deserve somewhat a lot of respect for even putting themselves in that position. But by and large, again, how how badly do you think a bad teacher can affect a child?
I
think this is a big question to some degree, but you go on.
Well, it can go two ways actually, because a bad teacher can obviously, as you like, the obvious example would be somebody who frustrates the student, makes them feel worse about themselves. Essentially, say if they've got a bad parental background, if you reinforce that aggression and all the rest of it, and that attitude and that sense that if you reinforce the idea that the kid doesn't have an inherent dignity and a worth and a potential, then you're reinforcing the stuff that's bad at home. If the kids are going for a bad background, they're the worst cases. Generally, the kids who are worse have worse family backgrounds. Sure. The other side of it is you doubt the kid, and if the kid has enough strength in them to then prove that teacher wrong who's doubting them. But it's in most cases of the really, the kids with behavioural problems, the kids who have things at home, they're unlikely to develop that strength, at least in school. It might be something that comes after school, So but a bad teacher can definitely be bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it massively screw you up. I just think it's some of the when you think of like math sets and stuff like that, and how they used to fluctuate depending. You get a bad teacher in like a half decent set, and you just see them all just like the next year just split. Do you know what I mean? Like
and drop behind the lower sets, literally from the teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
The higher sets.
Like they'll just drop down, and the only ones that would stay up were the ones that were naturally very talented at like something like maths. Just thinking ours was bloody awful. Like, 'cause if you remember, we were in the same math set, weren't we? And then we got split. But then
I was awful.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. Weren't you like the lowest at one?
No, but okay. So basically, to be brutally honest, like I'm not good at maths, but I'm not that bad. But this is the thing. But this is the thing. I'm not that bad. But what I would do would basically self-sabotage.
Of course.
So I was a massive proponent of self-sabotage. I loved it. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So like, I loved people thinking I was dumb as fuck, and like, I'm not gonna say I wasn't, but I would. Like with the teacher, for example, that fucking maths teacher who's a woman. I mean, I just sabotaged. Like I fucking took a bite of her apple in front of her and just like left it there. And like I don't know, like I just did stupid shit because I just fucking hated it. But then again, like I was a fundamentally bad pupil. Yeah. But there are fundamentally bad pupils out there who just don't want to listen to your shit. Yeah. They think they know it all. And they have a complete lack of respect for you, and that's why I only had a very minor array of fucking teachers who I was like, hold my hand up. But the thing is as well, when you're like that, and you sort of, at that age as well, you can sort of manipulate things in your favour, and you've got teachers who can see through that, you're like, oh shit. And that's a good And then they immediately they garner your respect, and it's a mutual respect in some ways because they're like, hey,
that's what I mean about the potential.
They're like, hey, I know you're fucking about, you're not stupid, come on, and you're like,
exactly. Whereas the patronising kind of, I'm going to take you on because you're not listening, that kind of raw authority, that will get you nowhere. You've got to you've got to move them through the process. That's another point that say good teachers do. They move the kids through the process, and if you rationalise it, kids are still rational. And if you can show them why you've done something, and again, it's that, and I hated this in school. This one thing I really hated about school. This idea that you kind of, I'm the teacher, therefore what I do is right. Therefore I did that. And that moral, that kind of your authority is the reason. The authority. Terrible. It's so pathetic. I mean, come on. You're working with 13, 14-year-olds.
But do you feel at some point that when you lack resources, or you run the course of a certain logical conclusion, you have to sometimes step back to who's the fucking daddy? And I'm not saying that's the behaviour, but I think we all play that card in life to some degree.
But I'm saying we should endeavour to stop.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not saying, of course, I'm not saying in a sense it wasn't. Well, I was just doing a version of that when exactly. So we're all guilty, but
Have you ever seen it work though? Have you ever seen anyone go, I'm the teacher, I'm the boss here?
With the weaker students, but with the worst kids who it's intended to.
That's true. All it does is nails the codependent students who are the ones that actually would have agreed with you anyway. You have to do that. It's just a reinforcement.
Whereas the other ones want to challenge that anyway. They want to challenge whether you're the boss in the room, and the majority of the time, when you're at that point where you're saying I am the boss.
I'm the captain now.
Then they're screwed.
I mean, again, I saw lines where it was like, you will do what I say because I am Mr. X. You know, like, that's just, you know. And he, in fairness, he was a real disciplinarian, but he was very, he was effective, and the kids would respect him. But again, was it respect? Because right behind his back, they'd say, you know, all sorts of things about him. You know, rumors about drug addiction and all the rest of it. as taught, I know.
But going back to that point, that behavioural strategy to some degree would work in an environment where the kids are going home and their parents are instilling those same values. Listen to me, listen to your teacher. But if you put a disciplinarian in a school like I mean, I don't know though, because surely if a disciplinarian just grabs their respect, his methods will be absolutely golden. But he does. I mean, the films are made on this. You look at Coach Carter, you look at, you know, literature and whatnot.
But it's the dynamic of discipline and put your arm around the student.
It is.
You know,
very fine line, isn't it? But this still goes into everything in terms of what you were saying in terms of managerial aspects. You've got to walk that line. And when I was playing football, I had a coach. This was when I was in the grassroots. I had a coach, and he was the best coach I've ever fucking had, and he towed that fucking line, and I respected the fuck out of this guy, and like, he knew when it was time to, dude, you've had enough. Do you know what I mean? Just chill out. You've done a great job. You've done a great job, and he'd have these sort of like interactions with each of us, like, sounds so fucking weird.
Interactions.
Yeah, where we'd invite to his room. I'm joking, bro. Nah, he's gone.
You'd all go in the showers.
He just gave you that sort of, but all managers do this. They give you that. I'll not.
Keep digging.
How about? Someone take it.
What I need.
I was even going to name drop him because he's doing so well now, but I've just fucking.
Well, I'm not surprised. He's tossed off 11 players every fucking term, hasn't he?
They're all 11.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I think we've exhausted that topic to some degree.
Yes,
I would like that, mate. You're a fucking champ. We've not had anyone who's come on and spoken so eloquently and so articulate about a specific topic and in a philosophical grounding as well. Not in a pragmatic sense. And this is not roasting anyone who's been on the Sunday roast, because this is a different type of episode, and I guarantee we'll have a drop-off rate in this one. But there's true believers who stand. You're still there. But nah, it's 100% true, and I really respect you for coming on, and I really respect what you're saying.
I've got a funny story if we're prepared to divert.
You divert, and I want to come back to one topic which involves Rod and cults.
So stay tuned. Story. So
go on, mate.
Right. So I used to have an office above my dad's sweet shop, as you know, and so I'd obviously talk to the manager quite often. One day she came up absolutely furious. A guy had walked into the shop and said, "Can I have some sweets?" And she was like, "Well, yeah, you pay for it." He goes, "Yeah, but I'm homeless, I ain't got any money." And she goes, "Well, no, you can't then." And he was eating a box of chicken at the time. He goes, "No, but I'm homeless, you can't do this to me, I'm homeless." And she goes, "Yeah, but you can't just come into a shop and take stuff." So he started throwing the chicken legs at her, right? So relentlessly throwing the chicken at her, and then like ran out of the shop. Last week, I
thought that was the conclusion.
Last week, Prince William came to Mansfield,
right?
And she was watching him like on TV with homeless people, and he went to see homeless people, and she goes, "Oh shit, that's the homeless guy that lobbed chicken at me," and he was meeting Prince William and giving him fucking a sob story about how he's homeless. He goes around to shopkeepers and lobs chicken wings at him. So there you go.
A man who's dedicated to his craft.
Absolutely.
A
master
of his craft.
That's, he's been out there for a year with his chicken wings. He didn't throw any at Prince William, but he wanted to throw them at
Prince William probably gave him a lifetime supply, mate. I think that's the difference.
I probably didn't give him anything.
Now, this is like the paperclip story where a man traded a paperclip and eventually got a home. What this homeless man does is starts with maybe some rice, goes into the shop. If they don't give him what he wants, he throws rice at them. Then he'll get, a bag of quinoa or something like that. And then he'll go to the next shop, get a bag of pasta. Eventually, he finds his way to the 3am takeaways, gets the chicken, finds his way to Lucky Dip, where he's thinking, I could swap this chicken out for a box of chocolates. That's where the chain gets broken. Do you know what I mean?
No one really wants to trade you daft chicken for some chocolates at the end of the day.
No. They don't want to do it, mate.
No, they don't want to do it.
You've got to respect it. So there's that. But Prince William, He's not the nonce one, is it? That's Prince Andrew.
Yeah, Prince
Yeah.
Andrew's the nonce.
Oh, of course. Of course, Rod's up to date with his nonce.
Nonce aristocracy, mate.
Yeah.
I'm on it. Yeah, don't worry.
Did you watch the Prince Andrew?
I did, yeah.
I'm very surprised.
Right, why are you surprised at that?
I'm always, do you know what? This is diverse to me. I'm always fucking surprised. You know when someone goes, oh, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I
I'm
did
always
watch
like,
that.
oh, really? I didn't
Not
realise
the
it
only
was on
one
the
out there.
internet. Yeah, fuck. So,
It's got a couple of mil views.
I respect it. Come on, Rod. Come on
I
out.
think it
Get
has.
out.
No, it has, mate. It was
Alright.
popping in the US.
See, this is
They
so cringe.
loved
This
it.
is so cringe. I was on about our interpretation of Andrew. I'm cringing out at the
What?
moment. I've just fucking dropped a fucking horrible bomb. What? I was on about our Sunday roast one.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm struggling today. I'm fucking struggling today. Sorry all. Yeah. Yeah, so going on. Have you got any more funny, entertaining stories, Ariel?
No, that's actually me out for the entire episode.
Really?
Yeah.
You were struggling prior, weren't you?
No, I did have some.
Do you actually? No. On a serious note, do you want to go? Because me and Rod have been talking a lot about a lot of shit. So.
No, I was happy. I did have some subjects that I thought might be worth it going into, but I don't know how you.
No, we're
No,
good.
go
We're
ahead.
good for time, bro. You go. You fucking go.
The
Man.
only other one that I wanted to speak about
Yeah.
was Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, let's fucking go.
So I think this.
You had a really funny title for this. What was it? We need to talk about Joaquin.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I told
Like we need to talk about Kevin. Alright, cool.
Right, so I saw this this week. I saw it on Left Wing, like social media.
Right.
If you have, for context, if you haven't heard about it, basically, did you hear his speech at the Oscars?
Yeah, I know about it, yeah.
So that kind of sums up the entirety of what's going on. He steals a calf from,
Right.
but he doesn't steal it. Like
Yeah.
they try and basically. So his whole speech at the thing was he's a vegan for context,
Yeah.
and his whole thing was like. The thing is, like, this is where I've always felt a bit, and I think you felt the same with Joaquin Phoenix. Is like when he won, was it the BAFTA or the Academy Award? He
I was
did this whole
disappointed in it.
thing about everyone not, everyone's saying that they're green or whatever, and then they take flights and private jets, and then he came at the Oscars. And started calling everyone out for not being vegan, pretty much, and said we know we artificially inseminate a cow and then take her baby and steal her milk and whatnot. It's not fair. So following on from that and realising that now he needs to be consistent with that, he's gone to a farm and actually taken a cow and a calf.
Fuck me, wag.
I just that's it, really. I don't really know. And then there's a 10-minute mini documentary.
Well, I'll sort of rephrase what you're saying
just
without
sort of.
patronising. No, what I was saying, what I'm saying, because we talked about this, actually got cut. This was in a previous episode.
Yeah,
it got
the
cut.
thing actually
Ben
glitched
came in. Basically, it was disappointing to some degree because when Joaquin won, which award was it? Fact check
It's
me.
for the Joker. He won the
initial
Academy Award. For
Okay,
Best
well
Actor,
he
and then won actor.
did quite a speech which garnered quite a lot of adoration because he was addressed the difference between Hollywood and what they were doing and what they proposed to do. What Joaquin Phoenix was doing in that speech was he was addressing the room.
Yeah.
Now normally you get a Hollywood award, someone who says something, they're addressing the fucking world. They're saying you need to be better, you need to be better. And he was saying we need to be better. He was saying we in this room, you, there are things we can do which better, which got a lot of respect. And this was, now it's making me think because Ricky Gervais dropped that bomb, that he was appeasing the momentum of that cultural shift, which was like, fuck Hollywood, and then he came in and was like, yeah, you're right guys, you're right fucking viewers, we do need to be better. He fucking booms in the approval ratings, and then the next couple of awards he goes back to the whole, everyone in the world needs to be, and it's like, dude,
But I never
it's
thought it
so
was like
alienating to people when Hollywood does that. It's so alienating. Like, people can't be fucked with it.
Do you know the only reason why I don't take this seriously? Because it's almost a parody. Like, he goes into a farm and, like, the guy keeps going, we harvest cows, we farm cows, he's going, you murder cows. Like, keeps talking over him, going, you murder cows, don't say harvest. And he's,
Are you fucking joking? I haven't actually seen. Does he go that hard?
yeah, he goes that hard, yeah. I mean, watch it if you want to.
Are we going to put it up?
You can do, yeah. I mean,
I don't want to make the work for you. Watch it a little bit just to give Rob context on what he
yeah,
thinks.
God.
Because I'm sure I'll have a provocative view.
So, yeah, he does this, and then you can see who it's by as
I
well.
hate these articles with these fucking yellow and white subtitles. They always piss me
Oh
off.
yeah, I know.
They're now this. They're the ones that nicked my footage for that thing.
Fucking now this actually stole his footage.
Yeah, do you remember when no longer
You got your hip flashback in there.
No, yeah.
So this is his speech.
Yeah. No, I mean that's
He's not deaf, sorry.
I'm used to being patronised. That's just fine. Put my coffee and cereal.
So that's like 2 seconds from his like 5-minute speech, and then he goes to a farm.
Do you want to just skip, because you know I'm in a video, do you want to just skip in so we get the gist and then...
Absolutely not.
I'm just thinking about you here with the others.
Anyway, he says it around here somewhere. But anyway, he goes on throughout. But the whole premise of the thing is, and then you see at the end he like runs off with it. But
Fucking hell, that was disappointing, right?
well, what I wanted to talk about,
I know, you're using it as a premise, go on. mate.
is that there's that. But then I don't know whether to take him seriously because
No, that's a serious piece. That's a serious piece of
no. But everyone
documentation.
thought he was serious at the time that he.
But why did he go to the person? Why did he bother
Because
this
this
farmer?
is the thing. Is like
Footage.
I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
he
It's cynical.
said all that stuff and then either realised that he had to make a point of it and actually follow up on it and go and do it, or he's taking the raw piss. And I don't know if he is taking the raw piss.
He's not taking... I don't think he's taking the raw piss, just basically on the premise that the dude was preaching it prior.
Yeah, I know.
There's no
but
way
the
he'd
only
use-
reason why I think he is taking the piss is because he's done it before. He did it at...
Did he?
Yeah, and he did it when he went for a whole year. He went on all these guest shows saying he was releasing a rap album, and it was actually for a film that he was doing with Casey.
That's
Affleck.
promo then.
No, where he was literally it's a documentary about Joaquin Phoenix saying that he's going to become a hip hop star. So the whole premise is.
But was that promo for the film, the doc though?
Yeah, but he did it in real life.
No, I get that, but I'm saying
Was
what
even
what
the,
would be the incentive for him to
I
do
don't
that?
know, but no one saw it as an incentive. No one knew that he was doing it.
Oh,
You know
I
what
see.
mean?
Yeah, so he might drop.
The idea
yeah,
was
yeah,
that
maybe.
it's a documentary on Joaquin Phoenix
I get
who
you.
changed
I get
the
you.
course
Sorry, I get
in
you.
his career and it was going to kind of fool the world like the old idea of the documentary was Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's the only thing is that I feel like how far can he go? Like why is he doing this now and he's never done it before? You never saw him do anything, and then he's now popping up doing that.
I don't know. But
No, I
what I
don't.
will say is he's an interesting figure. Just filling a void of conversation with mundane bullshit.
Yeah. Interesting figure.
Nah, I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't got. To be honest, mate, I don't know enough about
That's a
it to
strong
really
take.
comment.
I know that this whole thing about Hollywood, all this like moralising, all that. I don't think that's good. It's not good.
It's just
not good.
tedious.
It's not
It's just
exactly.
tedious. It's just tedious.
And also, this. So, by the way, I'm probably an outlier here. I believe in the climate change crisis and this.
No, you're not an
No,
outlier.
on this. I know. I'm winding you up for what you said. What do you say? Like you said a few episodes. You're talking some absolute shite, you two, about something.
No, I
climate
knew
change.
this is the episode he didn't like, and this was
Yeah,
the France
you said
one.
something, but but anyway.
'Cause he goes, it's anti-intellectual. I was like, it is, but it is also two blokes talking.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, but
I'm gonna
what I was
cry.
saying. Yeah,
I'm
I know.
gonna
Well, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like, I think it's important, but at the same time, Hollywood. Why is it always? There's so much wrong in the world to just zone in on veganism as kind of the central point. It's so.
This is the Messiah.
I said this to Joe earlier. So like we.
I want to shut you off.
Yeah, it's not exactly. It's
No,
Messiah.
it's
It's not the Messiah.
I know, that's what I was saying. Sorry, go on. I'm just changing.
So I was saying this to Joey. Like these houses for context are like the most ecological
Oh, these
houses
ones are in now,
in the
Yeah.
UK. Like they are zero thingies. Like my electricity bill is literally £11.
Yeah,
a
he
month
literally
now.
lives in that shed outside.
Yeah.
No, but my point is that you don't hear about anything like this. Like he goes to building conventions and tries to sell the design of the houses and things like that to get people on board. They're not interested. Like so, and I said to Joe, I was like, this guy's probably done more for the world than Greta Thunberg. Like potentially, do you know what I mean? The landlord who's done all this stuff around here. You don't hear about it. No one's.
And my reply was, he's got a popping earring.
He has got a popping earring. He has got a popping earring.
Just ignored everything he said and said that.
What my point is like my whole premise about climate change is I don't really care that much, but like they put certain people on a pedestal to make other people feel bad rather than actually try to address the problem, and that's my whole problem with climate change.
if you really wanted to actually praise people, it's like, well, fucking praise this dude who's built these fucking houses.
Yeah, he's gone out.
Who's going to fucking
Yeah, I
conventions.
get that, yeah.
And he's an unsung, if you want to call it that, or even in the crisis, or whatever your beliefs are, it doesn't matter, because if you want to look at it in that lens, he is an unsung hero who is doing those things, and he's not fucking going out and preaching and morally fucking.
Yeah, I think that's the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think Greta Thunberg is a good thing, but nonetheless, you'd be like, like you say, it's not this kind of big.
I'm not going to go into Greta Thunberg because
I would be. No, I don't want to go into it, but I'd be quite interested to see why you think she's like good.
How dare you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think why. Yeah, nice, I like that. Why she? I don't think. I think as a child, whatever. She's a good symbol. You need symbols. You need people to be the face of something. She's pretty good at that. I'd rather her than your man over there. You know what I mean? So
he's got popping earring.
Yeah. not your man. Not your man. The guy from the video. What's his name? Joaquin. No, I'm all for the man with the.
Okay, Greta. If she wants to do that with life, great. Is she being pushed in certain positions by certain people?
Yeah, I mean, I also
That said, the problem I have, it isn't so much on the climate change argument. It's more on the argument of hypocrisy. Because when certain individuals of a certain age do things in certain fields in life, they're like, oh, they're too young, they're too this, they're too that. But when Greta does it, it's she's her own, own woman. And I just feel like the whole where you draw the line of independence versus childhood is different in different segments of culture. To the point whereby it's very confusing. And there's not really any internal consistency, and it's a very pragmatic thing. So for me, looking at that, it's confusing, like internally confusing. If a child, obviously childs are allowed. Childs are allowed to.
How old is she? Like
I don't fucking know.
16?
She's younger than 16. I know that.
So like, and this is the point. She's been doing it for 3 or 4 years, hasn't she? And like, this is where it concerns me. Is that I agree that you need a symbol for everything. Blah blah blah. However, like that has to come at a great personal cost to someone who's been doing it for 4 years and is now 16 and has Asperger's like she does.
Yeah.
Like it must come at a great personal cost to her, and that's what bothers me. It's like it's not what she's saying particularly. It's that it's got to come at a great.
I mean, the problem is you'll encounter the argument which comes on the other side. Yeah, okay. Regardless of her difficulties, if she wants to do that, she can do that, be quite frank. And if she wants to put herself in those certain positions, she can. The problem I have with it is the fact that no one is shining a light on who is with her, the organisations that are actually propping her up. Like, that is being kept in the dark to almost highlight her accomplishments, which is fine.
How many organisations do you think? I mean, seriously, I don't think that's that.
When I say organisations, I mean she's propped up on various media outlets.
Right, yeah.
I don't so much mean there is a
kind of a shady back.
I just mean the fact that she's invited to these events, she's like this to almost be a figurehead for a certain means. Which
I mean, the flip side as well is she goes to all these things, she talks to all these influential people, and there's still actually not a great deal of substantial change being done, and that's again why it still plays into that kind of self-congratulatory stuff we're talking about in Hollywood. It's the same thing. She goes to all these things, she does these things, and I think inherently she's a good thing. But at the same time, if it doesn't change anything, or if nothing changes, it's sort of all the same. It's all the kind of same show. And I think again, that's the major problem. There's a second problem about like environment's only one symptom of many illnesses.
Why are you doing that again?
Because when I do this, just for context, when I do this, it means I've in my head gone on to the next thing. And I'm trying to think about how I can articulate it without upsetting people. That's what. So this is what this means.
But now the thing
when I do this, that's what that means.
Now it's out 3 episodes straight, and now it's become a visual representation of frustration.
No.
I can feel it.
When you turn around and see a guy, pass me that. Let me show you what it looks like. So you're talking, and then you turn around and you see this.
The desire for shareable content is just
I'm not sure about this.
Takes bodily form.
That's what I mean. No.
Yeah, let's move on. Come on.
I want to say no.
Segue.
There's no segue. Yeah. I want to cover one last thing about what you just said.
Let's cover Greta.
This is an argument which I cannot, for the life of me, decipher. Is it worth? Do the means justify the? I don't want to put a placeholder in and say this make you work in this framework.
Yeah.
Jump out of it if you need.
Yeah, I probably will.
You will.
Yeah.
I know most people will be
Yeah.
trapped. Do the means justify the ends?
Yeah.
In terms of someone like Greta taking I don't know if she takes a private jet, but there was some outlets saying there was a lot of commotion in terms of her fucking yippee yapping around the world. She
Yeah.
travels a lot.
Yeah.
And you say about this sort of morally, virtue based things. If there is no substantial change and someone's doing that, it does feel hypocritical. Regardless of your stance, if you go it's worth it, like maybe it is. Maybe you can even economically justify that the value gained of going to this summit is, but it's just hard to...
I also think
it's hard. It's just hard to talk about because
what she's saying has been said for years.
Yeah.
So why do we put her on a pedestal? Because she's saying it.
Well, she does it from the perspective of the young generation. I think that's the point. Do you know what I mean?
You mean it's
Young
generational?
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that's in fact her youth. I know it's always used against her, but that's actually the value. That's the whole symbolic point. Is that she's the one, her generation's the one that's going to be kind of affected by it. That's kind of that's her selling point, and that's not necessarily new, because in the sense, generally it's been like 60-year-old hippies who've fought this stuff, like Green Party.
But you talking about it's going to be this generation which is affected. What if it's not?
Well, what if anything? Well, I mean, that's a fatuous point.
No, it's not. It's not at all. It's not at all. Because what I'm saying is, you have a figurehead leading a movement. Yeah. There is no counter to that movement. Yeah. Any counteraction to that movement is shunned. Yeah. As fake, alternate, counterculture. Because the irony is she is enacting herself as something which is counterculture. Yeah. She ain't. She's culture. That's culture. Yes, that's mainstream culture. Yeah. So what I'm saying is when you have a movement that is mainstream culture and she's being pitched as someone who is counterculture, it's like there's no room left for anyone to come in and go, hey, actually, I've got a different idea about how we can do this. Yeah. So, but I'm not saying that's bad, because that's an inevitability in society, especially with social media. You'll gain these figures. Will Greta Thunberg be around in 4 to 5 years? We'll see. Well, if she
probably not. It's certainly not the same. She'll be a little bit like, I don't know, Lamar or something.
But that's how I feel. Yeah. That's how I feel. If she's not, then her relevancy wasn't. It was a phenomenon. Yeah. Due to the fact, she was a disabled kid who went out her way, did all this stuff. Yeah, great. But if she's not and her relevancy hasn't maintained, then her cause is sort of weakened. To some degree.
Yeah, but that's different from whether she's right or not, which is
no. But what I'm going back to your point, when you say that she is a figurehead for this younger generation, if there is no sort of relevancy left in what she has to say throughout this time period, that almost weakens that position.
I mean, that's obviously in a sense it's circular, because I think it will.
Okay,
no.
I
personally,
I don't know.
I don't think it's going to be. I think it may be apocalyptic. Who knows? But as I also want to stress, I don't think just focusing on the environment is the same thing. Because I think people are going back to psychosis. People have real deep-rooted problems with how they're living. They don't know how to make sense of it. And an easy thing to say is, well, once we solve the environment, all my problems will go away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's.
I tell you what,
I disagree with that. No, I agree with what you're saying. But the sentiment's
the sentiment. That's my worry, because I'm pro-environment, but you shouldn't be exclusively, because that's only the beginning of the problem.
People lose their minds over it. People lose their minds over it.
It is a replacement for religion.
People are like, we need to do this, and if we don't sort this, my life is over.
Listen to this.
Going downhill. And I'm not gonna lie, they live around here, because obviously this is what it is, and loads, not particularly these, but there's houses down there, and you can have a look at them.
I'm joking.
And it's
right.
quality.
So my dad was in the shop the other day. Right, listen to this fucking whack shit. Goes up to the counter.
Yeah.
I was speaking about. Sorry, he's giving me 2 stories. I'm trying to work out which one's which. One of them he's just roasting them. The one before he goes up, and she was going, I'm going to put an accent on, because this is what he did, and it's funny. Oh, wow. I can't wait till it gets a bit warmer around here. He goes, right. Yeah, it's freezing now, isn't it? Yeah. I can't wait till summer. That doesn't mean I want the world to die, though. And he goes, and I just thought, this is how much it is that is pro fucking gramming at that point. That someone can't even say something without checking themselves against a fucking bizarre hazard warning, brain indicating, firing fucking signal that's gone off. That the fucking, do you know what I mean? Like, how? That is just programming. The fact that you can't even get through a sentence without fucking going, oh no, I don't want the world to die. What, summer? Summer! You don't want the sun to come out. You mentalist. Mentalist! It pissed me off.
This thing as well is like, you don't, this is also like why I have a massive problem with it, is that you don't see the positive news on the other side. It's like, I think this year was, last year, sorry, was the most trees that have ever been in the Northern Hemisphere. This year, this winter was the most frozen seawater there's been in the last
and they planted
decade.
20 million trees this year
and
as well,
it's
and
finally
for a YouTube course.
And it's finally on the way up. So it's finally showed a pattern of like I think 8 years of succession of growing ice, and it's like you never hear that. Do you know what I mean? You only ever hear the doom and gloom. It's like even what you said about the tree planting. All you ever heard was, I mean, it was quite funny because what was it? Jeff Bezos, YouTube said 20 million, and Jeff Bezos said I'll do 20 million 100, and then Elon Musk said I'll do.
And then Jeff Bezos said I'll put 10 billion pledge in. 10 billion.
And then
10 billion.
And then everyone kept one-upping each other, and it was like, this is just fucking silly now. It's not. You're not.
I mean, that is a virtue signal thing, but again, like this is what we talked about last week briefly. Do you give a fuck if? Actually, we sort of talked about it. I sort of raised it. It was drowned out in a sea of bullshit. Do you give a fuck if people are doing perceived good things and they flaunt it?
Well, it's like,
I don't fucking care.
It's
better if they don't.
If there's two people that are fucking up the environment, it's Bezos and Musk.
Well, that's the whole point.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
So it's
ludicrous.
like,
It's ludicrous.
like, they have to counter everything all the time. So like that's where I'd be.
It's every time I have a conversation with someone as well, not you. I'm just talking in general. I'm generalising. That we never talk specifics about it, so it always goes back to, because I don't know enough, and I'm sure you don't.
I tried to read, more.
But it's hard, isn't it, to stay on top of it, because it really requires dedicated reading.
I mean, ultimately, I just think, well, look, if okay, maybe it's the apocalyptic predictions aren't right. Maybe it's not absolutely the worst thing in the world ever. But you know, I don't see why not just try and be more sustainable on the things. It seems inherently like a good thing to do.
Be proactive.
So exactly. It doesn't seem, and in fact, you know, if you think markets, all the rest of it, you know, you could structure society such that, you know, environmental jobs, it could be beneficial and it could be a way of like creating investment and jobs and things.
I just feel
so it can be in tandem.
Yeah,
I agree.
I 100%.
That's the point.
I would say that's.
So why not embrace it rather than take the risk of what these people are, right? How about we just embrace it anyway and then, you know, work with it, because it seems like a good thing anyway.
I don't think it's apocalyptic. I just think it's less wasteful.
What I'm saying is, I think the problem, not so much the problem. I think like what you're saying, completely valid point. I feel like it falls under the umbrella of quote unquote wokeness and the whole sort of moral virtue signal movement. Like you look at Harry, like Harry right now is talking about, you know, he's not saying he's off it, but he's not, you know, preaching it, and he's living in the most name a dude right now who's living in the most eco-sustainable thing in the UK. Absolutely. And he's saying, hey guys, like, this is wrong.
But not everyone's in that position. That's what I'm saying. I know you're not.
I'm just saying, I feel like with everything in life, people fucking take something just to look good in front of their peers, look good in front of their immediate community, and there's no substance behind it. And I always think it's like that. The bigger the ego, to some degree, it's like the more someone's gonna fucking flaunt something about something, and it's just a wider point, and it grates on me that people take certain issues. I mean, it's like you look, like we talked about this. It's like you look at that have you heard about that Caroline Flack?
Oh yeah.
Before I give my view, not my view, just comment on it slightly. What were your initial, like? Because I'm really interested in what you have to say about this.
Well, I might disappoint you here, but I was quite saddened actually by it in a sense, because it was just someone taken up in the storm, who, you know, and just taken up in the storm, taken away with it, and it's happened. This thing's happened, and it just seemed emblematic of the society. I know that's a classic thing that's been taken, But this, you can't take this thing alone. That's the thing. You can't take this thing alone. I've got a million things to say about it, about this in connection with lots of other things. The problem is, someone who watches Love Island on a weekly basis or whatever, whenever it's on, and goes, you know, oh, it's so sad Caroline Flack died. You know, well, that's happened. That event has happened, and I've been sad about that. And now we move on. But again, it's just about symptoms. Just, oh, this is bad. Oh, it's sad that Caroline Flack died. Absolutely. But look at why did that happen, and why does that society exist where this has happened? Sorry, that's horrible. I know it's general, but
it's enough. It's enough to go on because like I literally had the same feelings of I was just a bit sad. Like I was because. I'm not going to pretend that I'm fucking really sad, like she had a profound effect on me. Because at the end of the day, she was an entertainment show host. Don't take anything away from that, but it can't really have a profound effect on an individual. If someone's relatable to her, like fantastic, and her immediate family and friends, fucking horrific.
Yeah, of course.
But it is sad because what happened is inherently sad.
That's the point. It's inherently sad. I think people don't get that. Rather than just the person that died.
It's just sad that we know that will happen again, and this will happen, and the events will play out in almost the same light. And it's like.
Exactly.
It's just, but the thing is though, because I get to the point now in my life, like, I just don't want to hear, like, and I know this is sad, like, by itself, like, I just don't want to hear it, I don't want to engage with it, I don't want to do it, because, like, I just feel like, again, it starts with yourself, and you've got control, that's the one thing you have control over, yourself, to actually enact the values you want to enact. Well, I think so, you may disagree, but what I'm saying is, the reason I'm talking about myself or an entity as an individual at this point, the fucking same people who go, oh, that's quite sad, will do it again. They'll be the people who repeat
that's
it.
in a sense what I was saying about people.
They won't
having
reflect.
To go, all people who watch
They won't
Live.
reflect and go, shit, man, what can I do? What is my point of behaviour?
That's exactly that. In
That's
a way,
why
we
I
agree.
detract, and
We
I'm just
agree.
like, yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. The person who watched Love Island says that's sad. And then carries on.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Love Island, but I'm not saying that I think Love Island's fucking
but I'm
evil.
but by the same token, like, I'm not faulting a dude who sitting there and is like, hey, like, that was sad, like, I'm moving on, because, like, again, what do you want from them? Like, this is what it comes down to as well. Like, you don't want to sit on a moral perch as well and be like, we need to be better. Because it's just like, change your fucking self. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but again, that's
hard work,
but that is, again, you're not going to change. What is the point of anything? Are we just changing ourselves? Is it all for the self?
Because if everyone did that, the world would be a fucking fantastic place. The
point is, it's got to be a bit of relationship between the individual society.
No, I agree. But this is why, like, now I've really gone on a bit of an individualistic approach.
Because it's like, really disagree there.
I respect that. But it's like, it's too.
I agree that it's gone too wrong, but that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bath. That's always my worry.
What I'm saying is, people have to attain a point in their lives whereby they're self-sufficient, happy with their own mental outlook on things, and be comfortable with their own philosophy, to then go out into the greater, wider world and be like, guys, I know for a fact that's wrong. Too many people are jumping out the fucking bath early and going, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, which causes and makes me to feel alienated in some way, because I'm just like, I just detract. And I'm like, there's too much chaos. Like, there's too much going on where people don't know what's up, people don't know what's right, people don't know what's bad. They're not even looking at it from, like, a moral perspective in terms of universal goods, universal evils, nothing. So at that point, when you have that view, it alienates you. So you pull in and you're just like, well, you guys do what the fuck you want.
That's what I do think. I do agree. I do think there's a lack of underpinning and thinking through, like, why you say something's bad. Like, what you're talking about universal goods, because people just look at isolated symptoms like Greta Thunberg, Caroline Flack. They take that view, but they don't see that that's just a symptom of, you have to have a whole world view underpinning that. People don't think like that at all. They just think a bit, like literally, in the most literal sense. Again, I agree with lots of the aims of identity politics, but in the literal sense of, it's identity. I know you don't. But again, but this is where, you know, I agree with the aims of identity politics, but the means. So, what I'm saying is, there is a way of rationalising that. There's a way of rationalising that in many of the aims of identity politics. But the fact it's linked to identity as opposed to a deeper It's the most vague term.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
I mean?
You're talking about
Yeah.
looking in terms of the pragmatics
Yeah.
of the situation
Yeah.
and the inevitabilities of those
Yeah.
pragmatics. It's
Yeah.
like look at the
It's
wider lens.
extremely abstract now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it has to be.
for the punters.
No, but bro, it's like, bro, it has to be. It
Yeah.
has to get to that point because this was my main, like, to some degree, like, I reflected a lot on that fucking episode last week. And, like, it did sort of, I don't want to say upset and sound like a bitch, but it did to some degree looking back because, like, I just felt like, and this isn't me harping on the fact I was fucking right. Like, I look back at a lot of shit I said and I was like, I don't know, that was out of turn. I don't know, I shouldn't have said that. Or I disagree with that now. But people are so caught up with the pragmatics of a certain issue to the point where they can't see that they all correlate to the same sort of philosophical underpinning. And like that shit, and then that shit makes you feel alienated. That shit, because you're like, I'm trying to look at this in a way whereby this is a way of looking at how to live your life or how to be good to people or do whatever. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm horrible, mate. Like, I almost said most of the time, some of the time. But like, I don't know. But people don't even realise they are. People can't even say they are. People can't even say they are.
People don't premise a statement about like this is what things should. This is what you should do with. I know that I'm. I'm inconsistent. I know I've failed on this. And that's interesting. That's been lost in religion. The depth of religion. That's
with that.
It used to be the whole thing about I'm sorry, God, please forgive me, and you actually accept your.
Where there was consistency, where they were held to account by external
consistency.
consistency. But now because that's dead, essentially the whole God is dead thing, you have to hold yourself to account by some degree inside with internal consistency. People don't.
I think that's
people
why
can't even go. I'm a shit person sometimes. People can't even go. I'm fucking wank. Like they can't.
And then how do you make sense of that? That's the point. Because you're only going to make sense of that. You're just going to repress it if you don't.
I need a piss. You go.
So
I agree. I think that's why people get so frustrated. It's like you obviously didn't see it last episode, but we have it before. Where people can't really accept that. Okay, maybe it's just them that can make a difference. They get really touchy, and then they start. They think that, and then people, what you probably find as well, is that then they think that everyone else should change, not them. I'll just shut that so we don't hear Joe pissing on the podcast. Do you know what I mean though? It's like you probably find it, obviously being at university and I'm in philosophy as well. You find that people have like that. There's a cut off, like there's two different.
Well, to be honest, sometimes they do. This is why I when I was saying before about identity politics. I think identity politics again, lots of good aims, but I see that there are lots of ways of arguing about that.
Yeah.
Most people who take up identity politics, don't know how to defend. They don't know how to defend it, but there are ways and means of doing that in an effective way and showing that these things are right. Like you get people on who I'm on my philosophy course, and they'd sit here and have like a right bust up with Joe, in terms of their, what he thinks and it would be an even debate. He's not absolutely right and they're not absolutely right either, but there is a valid view there. People forget that, and it's a shame it gets lost because there's a lot of valid stuff, and in the wokeness, this tag wokeness, people get so detracted from that, then you lose the moral aims of what's actually going on.
Well, of course, people get so attached to their issue that they can't possibly see anything else because it's theirs, it's all theirs, and then you're attacking them. You know what I mean? Their very soul and everything like that, and they can't see past it. Do you know what I mean? And there's no kind of air of debate or betterness. Do you know what I mean? I think that and when you see that on a professional stage, you know what I mean, when you actually watch proper philosophy or science debate, and then they bring in I don't know, a half-assed celebrity, someone who's
and you do see it's so obvious.
See them dive,
absolutely,
and they just get torn apart, and
they just out their depth,
and they just try and ridicule the other person, and they just cannot do it at all, and it's embarrassing to see. And I think that the problem is with a lot of things like you were saying, identity politics is they're the people that kind of align with that as well. So you could say that I have a kind of overall view of them being all like that. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't really see.
And then the point is that the valid arguments that they're making get washed under the carpet, and that's what's so frustrating because there's so much. I think there's so much right about that, but it's just not articulated.
I feel like where I can find common ground with you in that is that. Okay, so it's a cause and effect thing, isn't it? So if you look at society or whatnot throughout ages, you have a stagnant society, right? And you have a society which is trad, not it's changed. The names changed the way. You look at trad conservatism.
Yeah.
Right? You have trad conservatism. You have a society which is quite pragmatic, knows its framework, knows its boundaries, relies somewhat on a religious backdrop to function on a moral sense of good and evil. Right? You do need that progressive chaos, which is what it is. It's progressive chaos to push at the boundaries to make the trad ideology as a society, as an individual, to reaffirm what it knows, question its current values, and move forward. However, the problem with this chaotic progressive entity is that it's never articulated properly because that's not its nature. Its nature is to push. So this is why I always refer to you with a train without brakes. It's something which it's gonna go. And in that, when it's going, okay, and you can't fucking stop it. And all ideology fucking leads to mass murder, and this is the problem, and this is the fucking problem. The amount of wrong, like fundamental moral wrong, in a catastrophic sense that goes when for example, something like identity policy latches onto the common good, something which needs to accelerate as a progressive society. God, it leaves fucking hell in its wake. Like, it's a locust. It farms for everything, it destroys cultures, and it goes and it goes.
It's the absolute.
It leaves nothing in its wake.
It's the absolute, and I suppose it's the absolute positivity. Because I mean, that's another thing I'd say that's not happened enough. You know, people need to say, and I think again that's where you do get it wrong. I think people are right to say no, this is wrong, but I think maybe the sticking point should be more when they suggest what's right.
Do you know what I have a problem with? And this is what I have a problem with. Talking about that, I feel like if someone who I had a valued respect for said, this isn't good, or can we talk about this? Okay, and found common ground of this polarised society, which I think is coming inwards, big time. I think it's coming inwards, because what happens when something polarised is so niche groups start popping up with different core beliefs and whatnot. We've hit that peak to some degree, I think. However, the problem is you've got people being put forward as cannon fodder to propose those ideas, who have no validity, who aren't inherently great human beings which you can relate to and respect, and proposing these sort of chaotic fucking ideology, and they're screaming, and it's like there's no consistency because the platform for debate hasn't been met. So, but when we get to that point, which I think we're coming to, I hope so, then that can be met. But like, again, for me, that's what, again, like I said earlier, just makes me fucking alienated. I'm just like, I'm out. Like, this is too chaotic for me.
When you find yourself as well, like face to face with a person like that, it's like you either fight it or you log out. Do you know what I mean? And every time you fight it, the other person generally tends to be upset and walks away. And we've had it at the time. We've been in like social situations. You know, like even when we were at the pub that time, I remember literally a member of staff was screaming at you.
Mate, it's mad.
Remember, it's like you either have one thing, you either log out because you're like, well, this is pointless. Like, there's no point in getting. You're not going to obviously change anyone's point of view. What's the point? Or you try. and this is again. Another problem is like when you have a society that is polarised, you have people who are pushing a status quo and not consistency, but a narrative, and you have people a minority of people who say, hey, that's fucking bullshit. They are ostracised, and to some degree they are seen as combative. Is it combative or combative? I've never known. It's combative. I didn't know. I thought it was combative.
I've always said it.
That's what I mean. I've said it as well, because it slips under the radar, doesn't it? That syllable. And that's naturally ostracised. And the problem is, you have a mainstream political ideology which frames itself as counterculture, which frames everything else as the wrong side of history. So it's
I do agree.
Dangerous,
That's very. No, I agree
and
completely.
that's where I'm out.
There's a good quote. It's like once you've said you represent progress, you're already regressing.
Exactly. That's so fucking true, bro.
You can't. And again, that's what I'm saying. That links to what I'm saying about positivity, because that you can't be too positive. You can never be too sure that what you're doing is right. You've got to have a bit of humility, a bit of. You know, and again, it's completely fine in my view to say no, this is wrong. All of this is wrong. Fine, but be careful when you kind of formulate, well, what's the alternative?
Or just
the
consistent.
point.
'Cause
Yeah,
there
yeah,
is
yeah.
no internal
Yeah,
consistency.
but you can say no. I
Yeah.
deny that. I deny
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Be completely consistent.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
the point. That's the
Fact.
point. It's hard.
Fact.
But that's the thing about society as well, like you were saying earlier, is like you've always got your traditional and then you've got your kind of chaotic going either way, and it's like it couldn't be either one. Like it has, they don't work without the other, and that's why you get.
It's law and chaos.
Yeah, of
It's
course,
one
but
or
it's
the other to
like
exist.
they're both within the other. Because if you went fully with one side, then you would just end up in a chaotic environment. You went fully with a traditional.
You live in an
side.
authoritarian
You just live in
hellhole.
yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
either way. So you need that kind of push and pull. Like the problem we have now is like obviously people have a better kind of understanding of. I wouldn't say a better understanding of history, but they have. The understanding of history is often through the lens of a historian or someone who's told them it with a political point of view, and then it's warped, and then they have like, do you know what I mean? They have black holes where they remember history, and it's like, you know, even things when you get back down to the slave trade, and people are forgetting like genuinely certain aspects about it just to further their calling.
That is a problem. There is a genuine. I mean, regardless of how you see it or how you want to see it, there is a genuine rewriting of history going on currently,
100%,
regardless of if it's a specific one or if it's just through ways media is consumed.
Yeah.
People are pushing for certain narratives to play out throughout
It's a
history
complete
as
lack
a
of
backing,
respect
as a
for
complete
history.
backing, as a complete backdrop for a narrative that they're producing,
Yeah.
which is dangerous, which you can't moderate because you have the internet, which is a great device in some ways, but you know it's dastardly in others. But like going back to your point, which you just raised then, which was about what you said, what I was saying, so which I said earlier. Yeah, you can't have one without the other. You can't have the chaos without the law and the order.
You find now is that the like.
Sorry. I remember my point. The problem I have was in that natural, because that is a natural.
Yeah.
When the pendulum swings slightly too far one way, it's hell.
Yeah.
Regardless, if it's you've got an authoritarian trad conservative thing, or you have a radically progressive, it's hell. There's genocide at either side of that. Yeah. There's genocide at either side.
That's the thing, is because it just stagnates. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like if society doesn't know what it's fighting for.
But then you have a stagnating society if you don't have a pushing.
Traditionalists weren't fighting for traditionalism, and modern progressionists weren't fighting for progressiveness. Then you would just stagnate. Like there would be no either way, and that's like obviously again what we went in last time, which was like this is one of the only places in the world where you can actually say that. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's so many places where you cannot go. Oh, we want to go more progressive. We want to be more traditional. You can't. You go with what you got. I just think it's fascinating that like, and now like you have your traditionalists, I find, and your kind of progressive. Like groups of people, they're now more aligned with a kind of warped history of themselves. Do you know what I mean? It was like it's more like look at the past, rather than I sometimes thinking about the future.
But I think the task is actually though to look at the past, to then use it to shape how you act in the future.
Yeah.
So look at the lost things. Where did we go wrong in the past? To then use it in the building of the future.
And possibly that's because people probably have a worse off actually idea of history. Do you know what I mean? There's no idea about probably what's gone on in the last 100 years at all. No. I mean, I don't know if you probably found it when you were teaching history.
Yeah. No, kids don't have a clue.
That's the problem. Though, isn't it? It's like there's no sort of like dialectic approach. It's like, hey. I'm going to cherry pick this specific era of history to prop up a narrative that I'm presenting.
Exactly,
it's not what worked, what didn't. There's no overarching understanding of how, to repeat the mistakes of the past, essentially. And like, I don't know, like, this is why even like just talking about it now, it just, honestly, like, I'm like my brother. I've got a shutdown mechanic in my head that's going, like, it's just so bad out there. And I hate to be that guy because like I'm one to some degree who props up prior generations like they had it a lot worse. Like I think they did something about like socially and culturally, dude. This is
so
fucking hellhole. It's depressing. Like it's a fucking hellhole out there, and it makes people who actually saying you think for yourself is contradictory in itself. But let's just go on the premise of doing that. It makes them bow out because they're just like, nah, this is alienating as fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm out. I'm just gonna get on with what I'm doing. I'm just gonna get on with my life. I want to, make.
But then the march of like what all this stuff goes on.
Exactly.
That's the tension.
And you've got that quote, haven't you? The people who don't do anything don't. It's just
that.
like, this is what I have this fucking problem. This is like an existential fucking war I have. It's like, do I want to do something? It's like, I don't want to, and I say this hyperbole for people who's not really engaged in this whole thing. They're going to think this is like extreme to say, but it's like, I don't really want to die a martyr. Do you know what I mean? Like, and when I say that in the sense, like, I don't know if I want to essentially fight something and waste what I have, which is like a life that is gifted to me in some degree. I think so. You know, I'm quite like, I'm not gonna say I'm a religious guy, but like, I'm moving that way in my life at the moment, and like, I don't know if I want to waste what I've got going. You know, like, I feel like I could do something.
And you think that getting into that battle would be?
I feel like there's a gut feeling that every time, like, and it's not, for me, it's not so much about, because like I see it all and I'm like, there's so much wrong here, but I don't know if I want to get in that arena. Because I don't think that's my arena. Like, I just don't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe we'd agree.
But then also, like, I feel
but you think if the shit hit
responsible.
The
fan, like
you would be. Do you feel that it's like the old classic question about if the Nazis?
I feel like doing this.
Would you be there building the fucking?
I feel like doing this podcast, doing what I do in my line of work, wanting to create certain businesses and certain fields and stuff is doing my bit, because I think that stuff like that coming from yourself is the most important stuff you can do, and the most important changes you can make are through those means.
But they're largely are they to you?
No, but I think in a cultural sense. I think people underestimate the massive, like, someone sitting here, shout out if you're still listening, who's watched this and these things haven't necessarily occurred to them. I think that's quite a traumatic shift in perspective to even consider what's being talked about, and that's not even in a patronising sense. That's just if it hasn't occurred to you in your waking life. So I think like stuff like this I think art, anything, has a tremendous effect on the individual to the point where you can't quite quantify it, and they shape history. And I feel like you've got to do your bit in terms of what you know, and like this is a quote my dad said, but he's like, just don't add to the dross. And I think that's the way I try and live my life. Don't add to the dross.
I think
don't add to the dross.
Jordan Peterson summed it up, and it went over so many people's heads, where he just said, tidy your own room first. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
the same sentiment.
And it's just like everyone, obviously, it triggers everyone, it seems. But
because it's Jordan Peterson, it triggers everyone.
Yeah, but it's like, it's such a good summary of like the way to just go about your life. It's like, don't tell everyone else to be tidy in their bedrooms. It's like it's straight.
But again, I mean, I think it's important to say no again. But I think that's and that's the point. I think the point is, don't claim your room's tidy. That's where I correct Peterson. I think Peterson's wrong there, because the room will never be tidy. You will never tidy your room, and that, in a sense, is the implication of, well, then you never act, because your room will never be tidy. So instead, I say, you can absolutely criticise, but the point is, do not. Again, what I'm saying before, be negative. Be negative, fine. Say this is wrong, exactly as we're all doing. But, don't offer a positive approach unless you're really, you really know what's going on. And I really don't offer a positive approach, and I hope that's not come across, because I'm not trying to offer a positive. I don't know what the solution is.
But the thing is, you're instilling one in your own way, and I think that's what you are underestimating about yourself now. Like, we're having a conversation now, whereas you said certain things which I'm going to go away and reconsider about my stance. I'm sure Harry's going to reconsider about his stance, and I'm also going to reflect on it the next week, 2 weeks, probably for a longer time. And I think you there are underestimating your reach in terms of the gravitational pull of what your words have. And like, going back to that point, like the Jordan Peterson point that you just raised purely comes down, and I think in a more pragmatic, translatable sense, it's analysis paralysis. It's like, if you analyse something for a period of time, you will never act. At some point, you've got to say, I don't know everything, but I'm going to fucking jump in here. Let's go, boys. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that is key, and you're right. And I feel like at any point in my life, I know I keep bringing it back to my life, but it's the only thing I've got. At any point in my life where I haven't just acted on something, you get a sickening feeling of like regret about it as well. And that's talking about it more pragmatically, but you can't just jump
there is pragmatic. That moment of like where you put your heart, it is the leap of faith. I was thinking that is the difference between someone who is not succeeding, but the point of success, you have to realise it's all or nothing. If you don't act, you'll only be disappointed. You can only act. You can only act.
100%. 100%.
You know.
How are we looking, we?
Yeah, we're good. We've been going for about an hour and 20, I think. So.
Should we call it? That was a good end. That was, I
Let's
think
call
that was
it.
a positive,
Yeah,
nice
we had
ending
some
point. Yeah,
subjects we wanted to get into, but we can always do it another time.
yeah,
can't
facts.
Yeah.
Mate, we'll get you back again. Pleasure.
Was that?
It was awesome, mate. I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
I
It's the
enjoyed
most
it, but I
profound-
don't. Yeah.
It's the most profound one we've had by far.
Yeah.
we?
Well,
And we've
yeah.
got Jason Lloyd on.
And we've had Jay, who's a profound motherfucker. But shout out everyone who's still listening. Subscribe and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. We'll probably have a more upbeat episode next week. But I think you've garnered what you can from this
We
one.
will have an upbeat episode
Yeah.
on every week.
Oh yeah, we will. We're doing a new segment,
Oh,
Sunday Night
Yeah,
Live.
yeah.
We're not going to ruin it, but it's going to be funny as fuck. We hope.
Great.
And we've got some great entertainers coming in. The guy's a
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
champ. Like, respect that kid.
Some great entertainment.
He's a guy, mate. Right, thanks so much, Rob. We really appreciate having you. And thanks for tuning in to episode 16.
Episode 16.
Sign out.
Yeah.
Hey.com coming very soon.
Hit that like button and subscribe if you will. Cool.
Pleasure, mate. That was real
Oh,
good.
yeah.